Welcome everyone to the AFL Kickback Show live. Hope we're all doing really well. Hope everyone's had a good weekend. We usually here on Sunday, but truth be told, Sunday I had a bit of a funky migraine, so I was feeling absolutely rough. So I thought I'd bring it forward and post it back till Wednesday. We're here on Wednesday. We'll be back as normal though Sunday night. So don't worry, don't fear. I'm okay. Sandy Falcone, welcome, mate. Became a member of the YouTube channel, a legend. Kate Wall, good day to you. So we've got a lot to unpack today. We're going to go through just basically what we've learned from the AFL. We'll do the power rankings. I thought for a laugh, we'll look at the top 50 players in the AFL as posted this week. We'll have a bit of a critique on that. We'll go through some of your bold calls, what you guys and girls think. And we'll look ahead to some of your bold calls and have a look. So, says, good day to you, my lovely Paul, the legend. How are you, mate? And Anthony, good day to you. So, I mean, obviously, hey, Ryan, how you doing, mate? Obviously, I just released the video of my bold predictions. So, it's obviously prediction time, isn't it? So, I thought you've seen where I've got all the teams ranked, but we have got something that I think is cooler than anything else, and that is we've got this bad boy, right? We've got this bad boy. So on your screens now, there should be, these were the power rankings of how we left them last week, if you remember. We left these in situ, so we'll briefly go through the games and we'll edit this as we talk about the game. So remember, that's the rule. We can only edit these as we talk about them. This is a bit of fun. So obviously we had Essendon here and we had Geelong. Now they lost. So I'm straight away in this game, although it's the preseason, there's something about Geelong I'm jumping off. Now, a few of you in chat last week said, Pom, jump off them, right? And I couldn't agree more. I do think we have to jump off on it. Remember, it's last week. Remember last week. So this was after the preseason games, round one. So Carlton will be rising. G'day, Nathan, Alex. G'day, everyone. Right, so I'd say we're going to have to drop. I'm dropping Gold Coast quite far down, right? I'm dropping Gold Coast to 5th on here. I mean, Geelong to 5th on here, right? And Essendon, for the time being, will rise, right, to 14th because we haven't talked about them, right? So we'll knock them down. Then we've got Collingwood versus Richmond, right? No change with Richmond. I'm sorry. I know you're all Carlton. Most of you are Carlton fans here, but you've got to put these guys at this stage, based on that performance, it's very good. They are very good. They are very good. Like, I know they were playing Richmond, right? And then the Doggies versus Hawks, right? This is interesting because the Doggies, g'day, Wayne, g'day, Damo. The Doggies really did impress me, right? I don't think the Hawks, though, are worse than what we've seen from GWS, and they're definitely not worse than them, right? Because they created chances. But the Doggies have to, for mine, go above what we saw against the Saints against Carlton, right? The Saints against Carlton. We have to. That's only fair. Hey, black and white, mate. Cheers, mate. Says, yeah, spot on. Right, so King Cheese, if you didn't watch last week, this is the rolling rankings, so we go game by game, right? So Brisbane versus Adelaide, right? I'm not knocking Brisbane off top, but I do think Adelaide look better than what we've seen from Geelong as of so far. As of so far. So GWS Carlton. Carlton, for me, are definitely somewhere here and Geelong and GWS are somewhere, I'd say, from what we've seen, I'm causing a big landslide. Do you know what I mean? So I'd say, I'd say if you rank what the most impressed I've been from week to week, Carlton might be one. But I think Carlton, you know what? Fuck it. It's my show. I'm putting Carlton just above the Hawks from what I've seen. Just above. Sydney versus Suns. I'm putting Sydney at the top of my power rankings. They've been flawless in 2 weeks. Flawless in 2 weeks. It's all good, King Cheese. Flawless. And Gold Coast, I'm keeping them there. I'm keeping them there because I don't think we've got to do it based on the pre-games from what we've seen so far. I'm still giving GWS a little bit of hope that they're better than the Gold Coast Suns. This is where we'll see a big change, right? St Kilda versus Port. Port, for mine, have to be in the 8 calculations, right? They look free. I've got a little bit of a feeling that Port are not being coached by them, right? So I am willing here to do this, right? I'm willing to put Port above Adelaide, right? I'm willing to put Port above Adelaide. And Saints, I am going to put Saints, and I hate to do this because Saints, I don't have a second team, but if there was a team that I'd barrack for that isn't Carlton, it would be Saints, right? It would be Saints, right? And then Eagles versus North. I can't put the Eagles above Saints yet. I can't put the Eagles above Saints yet because Saints did what they did to Carlton. And then Fremantle, I'm pushing Fremantle at this stage, right? From what I've seen here. And Melbourne, I'm going to keep there. So that is the power rankings, in my opinion, from my first draft to 3 games. So what do we think? Hey, Nathan, what is your thoughts? Chat as well. I'd love your opinion on this. Do you think that that's Josh Carr? Do you know what I mean? Josh Carr. Josh Carr's controlling them, yeah, is my opinion. But they've got Hinkley as the front man, but he's doing the tactical. You see, we said in this, we didn't judge Fremantle on the Indigenous game, and I'm not judging Collingwood on the Brisbane Suns game, because it was Mickey Mouse, 2 hours. You can't argue with the basics that are executed, and the way I judge a practice game is execution. Collingwood were faultless in that Richmond game. That was as good as you've seen a side play. Do you know what I mean? I agree, Alex. I'm with you. I think Hinkley's there like, lads, and Josh Carr's there like, right, I want Lukosius to roam up centre-half forward. I want this guy here. Do you know what I mean? No, Nathan, but do you think that that's kind of like he's got a lot more direct input because their ball patterns have changed? But back to this, that is where I see it at the minute. That's where I see it at the minute. So we've got the best side in the 3 weeks of form, Sydney, Brisbane, Pies Blues, Freo, Hawks off a couple of tight losses, Port and Adelaide neck and neck. One of them sides will make the 8. Geelong worry me. GWS worry me. Gold Coast I'm not sold on. I haven't seen anything from Gold Coast apart from patches that really entertain me. The Dogs, I can't get over their first 6 weeks of the season. Melbourne are the one that I feel I want to go higher, but is anyone else like me? I'm not buying the Petrarca Gorn Oliver hype yet. Does anyone else feel that? Is anyone else not really feeling their hype? Like, you can't trust it. Essendon, I think, in the real season, will mix it up. Right? Will mix it up. Saints, that game against Port just concerned me. Really concerned me. Because in the second quarter, they did what they did to Carlton. Right? I agree, Leighton. It has to be respected. The St Kilda Port game fascinated me because they did what they did to Carlton, and Port were just like, nah, we're the daddies. You can piss off. Eagles impressed me with fight. North looked wasteful, and that worries me. And Richmond, I hate to say it, right? So I think that top 8 isn't right. I think 9, 10, and 11 and 12, one of them jumps up in the real season. I reckon by round 6, here's Pom's big call. We'll quote this now. By round 6, I reckon 3 of them sides drop out the 8. Do you know what I mean? 3 of them sides drop out the 8 in our rankings. What's my worries? You know what it was, is when I was watching Cameron in that forward line, so I'm glad you mentioned that. When you watched it, and I want your opinion on this, chat. When I watched it, I thought Cameron gave me vibes of Harry Mackay 3 years ago, right? Where if he doesn't have a good foil, I think you can just put 2 mobile defenders on him, right? 2 mobile defenders. And it just didn't feel cohesive enough for me. Do you know what I mean? It just didn't feel cohesive enough for me. Like, they looked sloppy and so did Hawks, right? They looked sloppy and so did Hawks. And I just think that'll get found out in it, right? To answer Shane, but they were in patches of the game. Like, at the start of the game, Richmond just went man-on-man kicking, which did stifle the Pies. But once the Pies found their gear, like, they were faultless for 3 quarters. Like, I'm not a big Pies man, but I've got to give credit where credit's due. If I'm going to hype up Carlton's performance, I have to hype up Collingwood's, because I'd say GWS and Richmond were about the same level of ability for 3 quarters of that game. GWS showed a bit of fight for 10 minutes. So did Richmond. Carlton blitzed them. Collingwood blitzed them. King Cheese, you know, Hawthorn, people have had a go at me for Hawthorn because I was on the Hawthorn train last week, right? I was on the Hawthorn train last year, and I was one of the few that had them in and around the 8. I just think this year, the element of surprise is gone. So I think that's big. I think that's big. Looking at their fixture list, you ain't surprised when the Hawks do what the Hawks do, are you? In my opinion. Like, if I was a coach, I wouldn't be not shocked about what they're going to do. Don't know what you guys and girls think. Don't know what you guys and girls think. But let's go back to this. So that is the hit list. That is the hit list. Let me know what you think. Like, anyone in the off-season, and this is a question for the chat, who in the off-season, in this pre-season, has genuinely surprised you? I agree, Nathan. Honestly, the 3 teams that have impressed me this pre-season last week were Sydney, Collingwood and Carlton. I thought Carlton practicing killer instinct till the 4th quarter was good. Collingwood's execution was filth. And Sydney's freedom was absolute filth as well. I think 3 of them sides are a problem if they can repeat that in the first 10 weeks of the year. Brian, welcome, mate. Welcome. How you doing, mate? Essendon, yeah. My issue with Essendon, you know what? Let's bring it back up because we can talk about it. Right? Let's bring it back up so we can talk about it. My issue with Essendon, right, is I felt that was very energy, that game. And I just think in season, you will shock teams but I didn't see anything there that says you'll beat top 10 sides regularly. Like, all due respect to Essendon, I think their rebuild is going incredibly well. But I'm not looking at the Essendon game after the bye as a worry. I'm saying professional job. Like, all the sides in that top 5, I think that team plays 7 out of 10, and Essendon play 10 out of 10. You should beat them. You should beat them. So, no, I agree with you, Shees. I agree. They have impressed me, though, definitely. So, the next part, right, I'm going to do is, like, describe their season. So, we're going to do it now, right, in a sentence. So, this is hard for me because I like talking. So, describe Sydney's pre-season in a sentence. I would say freedom. Shackles have been freed. Shackles have been freed. What do you think about that? Sydney, what would you guys and girls describe Sydney? I would say Sydney's pre-season, shackles have been freed. They look freed. I agree with you, Damien. Fred, are you a top 3, guys? Are you a top? Are you still in it? I think I don't want to buy into theory, but you know, there's rumours Geelong are being investigated for the cap. I think GWS are the second team. Business as usual, more freedom. Cox are out. That's brilliant. Cox are out. I agree. Brisbane, what would you describe Brisbane's pre-season as? I would say ominously reliable. Ominously reliable. I think from what I've seen in the Mickey Mouse game they did with Gold Coast and the Mickey Mouse game they did with Collingwood and then the game last week, I just feel both of them games said to me, these guys are the real deal. Reigning Premier is brilliant. That Suns logo is bad. Shit logo. Yeah, like even the Adelaide game, like I watched the Adelaide game, and even though Adelaide won, bravo to them. All due respect to Adelaide, I felt Brisbane were just in cruise control the whole game. Still hungry. I love that. Prime to go back to back. Hey, Xbox Studios. I think it should be yellow. I reckon if you made that sun thing yellow, it's just faded yellow. Cox in, Sydney goes balls deep. Fred, that's why I think they will, because Andrew Dillon is trying to cut up everything Gill did. Do you know what I mean? Collingwood, how would you describe their pre-season? I would say back to the old game style. That slingshot off halfback Josh Dacos and Houston was brilliant. Was brilliant. What do you think? What would you say about Collingwood's pre-season? Flawless. I like that, Fred Blood. Age is just a number. That's very clever. Gotta say King Cheese as well. I love your profile picture, bro. Honestly, one of my favourite shows, South Park. I watch a lot of it. Does anyone else feel with Collingwood, and this is no detriment to them, I feel like there's 26 players that have to stay on the park, and if they have a big injury, I feel like we might reconvene this, but I think 26 players, they are up there with the best in the league. Like, I hate to say it, it's a terrific list. It's a terrific list. Like, you'd love to have that list if it wasn't black and white. Totally would love to have that list. And fair play to them. Just feel it hinges on a lot. Hey, Michael, you've got to risk it for the biscuit, though. Like, I actually think Carlton and Collingwood are the most interesting stories this year. Carlton had a chance to bring in an established player, went with a kid, right? Collingwood had the same. Do you know what I mean? I agree, Fred. I mean, it's probably a cliche, but They look ominous. Carlton, how would you describe theirs, right? I would say deceptively brilliant, fantastically inconsistent. Do you know what I mean? That would be how I describe Carlton, because it was like I said last week with Carlton, the cure is always on the field. You just don't see enough of it for long. And then it all comes together like GWS. They're hitting targets and you're like, oh my God, this is football. But you know round one could come and they can't hit a cow's ass with a banjo and they bully their way over the top. It's so annoying. I've really jumped off them, but he's got every show has a bias, and I am heavily anti-orange on this channel. That, mate, honestly, yeah. Incurable options. This is brilliant. Brilliant. I love it. Like Carlton are like Adelaide. I could see them finishing top four, but I could also know they're capable of not finishing the top four. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's one of them. Like, I can't... My heart overrules me on here, but I'm willing to say the GWS game was as perfect as I've seen the Blues play, albeit just from an execution standpoint. And these rankings are pretty much execution standpoint. I think if I've got to give Collingwood froth, I've got to give the Blues froth as well, because both of them were impeccable. Yeah, King Cheese. It feels like it's all or nothing for the Blues in a different way to Collingwood. So Fremantle, what would you say about Fremantle? You know what I'd say about Fremantle, right? Spreading the load is my thing for Fremantle. I think people get bogged down with Fremantle, like they did with Collingwood when they won the flag, like they do with Carlton. And everyone goes, they've got no key forwards. Josh Tracy's not it. I think the way they've spreaded the load looks amazing. Looks amazing. But again, they are in my Carlton category of they could be pants come game day. I like that, Ryan. Bold call, hype soup. I agree with that. Do you know what I mean? It's an interesting one because I can see it. Because, you know what? Controversial call. I think Fremantle's is one of the most beautiful lists actually built on paper. It feels like that they play to 60% of the potential they have. James, I agree. Agree. And, you know, Nathan, to go with your hype soup, Hawthorn 6. From what I've seen in preseason, they strike me as a team that if they had that preseason, if they were Brisbane and Sydney, I'd be like, okay, cool, right? We know what they're capable of. But Hawthorn still look like the same Hawthorn as they did last year. So my question with that, as always, is how does that stand up in season now everyone knows what they play like? So my way of describing them is I've seen this before. Can you back it up? What would you say about Hawthorn? Some good ones. Average. Yeah, it felt... Yeah, it feels like... You know what Hawthorn remind me of is like last season was a massive, massive overachieve. And it feels like that they've kind of like stuck to the plan of being 8th to 10th in like year 3 of their rebuild. And next year's the go year. Can they handle the heat? Yeah, it feels like the way they've prepped this is they know where they are. I feel like the hype train is insane for them. Do you know what I mean? I find it disgustingly insane, to be honest. I really do. I know people are saying Carlton are the most likeliest team to miss the 8th, which I agree with if you're looking at it, if you're an idiot and you're thinking 8th go down. Right? But I would say, in my opinion, if I had to pick 2 sides to leave the 8, it would be Hawthorn and the Dogs from last year. I wouldn't have anyone else in it. To be honest, I just feel Hawthorn... The element of surprise in the first 10 rounds, I thought, was hard. Was amazing. And I think it blitzed everyone away, didn't it? Yeah, I agree. I feel like the hype is insane, Says. And I feel for them because I genuinely like the Hawks. But I just feel like there is an element there that the hype is so much that when it does go wrong and they're like, maybe they're like 50, 60%, 7th or 8th, I feel like people are going to start criticising Sam Mitchell. I can already see the articles now with Sam Mitchell the man. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that's going to be a very distraction for them. So Port Adelaide, what would we talk about Port? You know, with Ports, I would say deceptively brilliant is the way I describe it. Or I'd say Houston, we don't have a problem. I think how they've built their list, losing Houston, and Bugsbell there, good point. I think about Port, how they've done it. Hasn't he addressed the issue of the small forwards? And I agree, we haven't got the goals from midfield, which we did against GWS. That's why I'm willing to give them a benefit of the doubt. But when I look at Port, I just think they sold Houston and they brought every hole that they had on their list in one window, which I think is absolutely amazing from Port. Like, absolutely amazing. I think that's a net win, and I think Dan Houston's a very good footballer. Port will have the scoring power, same old, same old. Port and their mystery coach, who is the coach? Should be Bear. I don't see it for Collingwood. The cliff comes fast. I think that's fair. I just think the way that they utilise the old players, and I'd love your opinion on this, Bam, is I think they're very clever. I think they're very clever that the old players don't do that much. And you can see the shift to the young players. I think it's a good sustainability. But Port I want to watch. Adelaide, making me believe again. That's my message for Adelaide. They're making me believe. I believe in Adelaide again. I genuinely do. Where are you with Adelaide? They're making me believe. I was really on Adelaide last year, and I promised myself I'll never do it again. But I'm on it. I'm on it. I'm in Team Adelaide. I'm fully there now. Ryan, I feel like I'm texting my ex at 3 a.m. Do you know what I mean? Feel like, nah, I'm never doing that again. But it's now 3 a.m. I'm drunk. I've had me kebab and I'm texting her. And I feel like I'm going to be scored by doing this. But no, I'm willing to back Adelaide in. They look exciting, man. Like, they look really exciting. Yeah, not convinced. I agree. I agree, Bam. I think that's fair. I agree, Bugs, but I think it's very tight. Yeah, Paul, I agree. And I think that's helped them out because this time last year, do you remember this time last year, they were Hawthorn. And that's why I think Hawthorn will succumb to it. Because do you remember this time last year, everyone was saying top four, just missing out finals, top four. And they overcame into the pressure. Feel like Adelaide now have got that freedom. I think they'll be all right. So I'm willing to back him in. Yeah, I agree, Damien. It's got to be now because that list is stacked, man. That list is stacked. Then Geelong. What would you say about Geelong? I'd never count Geelong out, and this is merely these rankings. Remember, they started at second on my rankings. No, they started first, didn't they? I had them as my favourites. So you can see how fair this ranking system is. I had them at the top of the tree. I'm jumping off quick. There's something that doesn't sit right. So I would say I don't understand them. I don't. And there was just so much that I liked this year. But these are definitely... Michael, so we do this week by week. So this is like a collection of our thoughts every week. So some days you might drop out by 8. You might increase by 6. So Geelong are definitely one of them teams, like I said at the start of the programme. I think you may move up. You may come back very quickly. But at the moment, I feel like maybe the cockroach is dying. I agree, Bam. I think that's a great call by you, mate. I agree. I just feel like Hawthorn have got the talent. It's a bit like Adelaide. So, Geelong, please, You know what? Geelong don't infuriate me as much as a lot of other people. I still have them in my 8. Like, I think I had them in my 8 in my video. So it's amazing how these power rankings work. Because you can see when I did that video this morning, I'm genuinely having faith in the metrics and what I believe. So GWS, where would you say? You know what? I'm going to go bold here with GWS. I'm going to go... Yeah, I'm going to go big with GWS. I think ship has sailed. Ship has sailed, right? Ship has sailed. And the reason I say that is I just think they've had so many years of keeping these players together that what I've seen from Geelong now, GWS now, is it feels like them little players leaving all the times. Your Perrymans, your players like that. The role players have left, and I feel like there's a vacuum now of talent and not anyone who gets their hands dirty. And that's what I've seen. You know, that's why on this channel, I always rave the efforts of your role players. I feel like they've sold their role players, Perryman, players like that, and now you're just seeing that hard work always beats talent. And I feel like there's too much talent. There isn't any glue. Is how I see it. Do you know what I mean? Bam, I think you've nailed it. I feel like they've put all their faith in these stars. And I feel like the role play, like to me, I would have rather have kept Perryman, who I thought looked amazing for Collingwood. Or you look at Peatling at Adelaide and the guys who've gone to Adelaide. I feel like they are the guys who get in hard, win your ball, do the hard stuff. And I feel like they've let them go. And I feel like they've got too much talent. Like they've got too much talent that won't get in hard. I agree, Anthony. And they have got talent. And I think they're probably a side that might get in on the 8 and the talent. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? I think they could still challenge the 8 and the talent, but I don't think... No, I agree, Michael, but you know what? I would say Carlton's depth role players, I think, have been a highlight of the last 2 years in the improvement of the football club. I still think we're heavily reliant on Kerno and Mackay, but I can see that depth. Like this week, Carlton's depth won them that game. It was your Camporellis. It was your Cowans. I thought they won the game. Your Kemps. And I didn't see that from GWS. Gold Coast. You know what? Gold Coast. Same old is my sentence for Gold Coast. Like, I've heard this every year since I've been here. Do you know what I mean? Same old. Gold Coast, it's the time now. Finals. And my concern with Gold Coast in the off-season, slingshot football, really exciting football, but I think it's susceptible on the counter-attack, and I think they've sacrificed a little bit of defence reliability to win games, but I think it's you're stuck in against the 10 people above them on that ladder. All them 10 players, if you give them teams above Gold Coast on our little power rankings, I feel like if you give them the ball, they can hurt you very quickly. Like, I watched the Gold Coast game and thought, if they played like that against how Carlton slingshotted and how Collingwood would beat them by 50, 60. Serial underperformers? Ryan, I don't have a sister, but I get the analogy. Same shit. Yeah, I'm with you. Dogs. You know what I get from the Dogs? Right? I get needing fresh eyes is my thing. I feel like the sands of time have trickled by with Bevo's game plan, and I feel like it's time for Bevo to hand that over to someone else. Like, I made that bold call in my predictions video that I think Bevo will resign round 18 and they'll have a big list. I can see that being Giancarlo Cella or Ash Hansen. I think a young coach with a young vision, with a very good young core that the Dogs have. And I think you might see a bit of a rejuvenation. But I feel like the Dogs, are the most disappointing side of the last decade. If you talk about them winning the flag, I think they have had the worst return since winning the flag. Because I feel like that list for the last 6 years has been a top 4 list. Doggy's stale. All bite, no bite. Brilliant. Kane won't be. He won't be. More interest in the West. Mate, Jesus, there is. Coach's last call, I agree. Yeah, I'm with you. Right, and then we're on Melbourne. Melbourne, I feel like a bit like the Dogs. I feel like dark undertones is how I would describe Melbourne's preseason. I feel like, although it's all sunshine and poppycock, I feel like there's something that we're missing. Do you know when you watch something, it's like, I don't know if you ever watched Maths, right? And you watch Maths and it looks like it's going to work, but then there's a voice in the back of your head going, he's a dickhead and she hates him. And you know in like 6 weeks, they're going to hate each other. But at the start, it looks nice. And you're like, oh, this could work. But you're the only one watching it going, nah, destined to fail. Yeah, I agree, King Cheese. It feels like something is going to, I don't know what it is. Do you know what I mean? I agree, Ryan. I think that's a fair call about Freeman. They have impressed me, though. Yeah, I'm with you. I had them as well. So, newsflash, I'm always going to say he's going to go. I had him sacked, though, last year. Now I have him resigning. Demons blowing hot air. Smoke and mirrors, I agree. Michael say, I'm with you. There's something about, you know what? I watched that game and I did my review and I was talking up Gorn, Petrarca and Oliver. But even though I was excited for him, there was something here, like their forward line is garbage and I looked like Pickett wants to leave. So he might have a tail wag towards the end of the year, but I think he's going to be disconsolate. I look at it and I think, okay, the midfield's going to win a lot of ball, but I don't think it's there. And it feels like they're like 4 or 5 losses away from not being cohesive. Essendon, you know what? Pleasantly surprised there, I'll say it. I do want to just say Isaac Keiko. Isaac Keiko's brought on it, but you know what? Essendon, pleasantly surprised. I feel like there is a little bit of a pulse there in Essendon, and I think it's great for the game. I'm different to most fans. The sides we've got 14, 18, 3, 4, and 16 and 5, I think we need as the top 6 for the league. I think you want all of them teams fighting it out. So I want Essendon to get up there to play us regularly in big games. Hey, it's all right, Michael, mate. Hey, I'm good at translating. Good at beer translating. So what would you say? Keep young forward, scrap the rest? Hey, I like that, King Cheese. I feel like Essendon... I feel like at the end of the season, Essendon might be the top of the 3rd tier. Yeah, I feel like Keiko's going to need a lot of help. A lot of help. Like, I hope they don't wear him out. And then St Kilda. You know what? I'm going to say vanilla ice cream on Venus is how I describe them. What I mean by that is a vanilla ice cream is cracking in it. But if you're on Venus, it's so freaking hot. That's melting quickly. So your last meal might go. I feel like St Kilda, if they're wearing you down and controlling the game, they're going to be really good. But I feel like they don't have the star power. They are the opposite to me to GWS. I feel like St Kilda have the best role players in the competition. I think if I was a list manager, I'd be after maybe 8 or 9 St Kilda players to prop up my stars. I feel like you're starting to see with St Kilda, it's a little bit like, Nottingham Forest in the Premier League at the minute. You feel like the lack of star power is going to get them found out eventually. That genuine X-Factor player. Feel like St Kilda don't have that in abundance enough. And I feel like that's their undoing. When I was watching the Port game, their skills left them. They were woeful. They were barbaric, right? And then I thought, you need that star. Do you know what I mean? You need that star that says, right, okay, boys, get on my back. Get on my back. And they don't have it. Yes, she's spot on. St Kilda stars. Yeah, I feel like they need that star because that gets you out of trouble. I think they've got some very good players, but I think they've got the best role players in the competition. I feel like it's a team of tryhards, and it needs that je ne sais quoi. It needs that little point of difference. Eagles. So it's like talking to your mother-in-law. You don't like it, but you're always around. Spam. Yeah, or cultivate it. Hey, Michael, send him my love, mate. Mitchell, send him my love, mate. To yourself and everyone around you, mate. I hope you're safe. West Coast Eagles. You know what I'm going to say about West Coast Eagles? My sentence to describe them. Resilient and underrated. And what I mean by this is I actually looked at their list in detail. That list is as good as anyone in that second tier. We love Mitchell. Send him some love. Quality human being. I'm so glad we've met him in the community. That middle tier, I think West Coast's list is as good as anyone's in that middle tier. Yeah, it's got Danger Game written all over it. Hey, John, how are you, mate? I feel like Eagles' list and its core is as good as anyone on there, and a lot relies spot on Ryan, right? On Waterman kicking 5-6, on someone like Harley Reid having a day out. But I feel like from a squad perspective, Baker is brilliant for them. I feel like they're dangerous than anyone you can count. It just feels like they are where they are for a reason, but I don't think they're as bad as people think. And I don't think they will finish bottom 3. I don't think they will. North Melbourne, you know what I'll say about North Melbourne? My sentence for North Melbourne, right? All the gear, no idea. They remind me of you turn up at the golf club, Saturday, 6:30 for a tea time. You're in a 2-ball. You go into the pro shop and they say, oh, do you mind if this guy plays with you? And you're like, okay, cool. I'll play with it. You go past him and he's got some absolute spanking brand new North. He's got some brand new Titleist. He's got the bag. He's got the jet white glove. His hair's slicked back. And the guy tops it every freaking tee shot. But he's got $5,000 worth of golf clubs in his kit bag. All the gear, no idea. And it feels like they've got a really good list. And then I watched that game with Marnie, and my big takeout was it was a bit like St Kilda, but St Kilda don't have that A-level talent on the list. Don't have them genuine star quality they've drafted. They've drafted just solid players. And it felt like their execution, it felt like they could get it there. But I've seen these mistakes last year. Every time. And it feels like, where is the maturity? Like, even Jack Darling looked laconic kicking in front of goal. And it just worries me because I feel like they've got a sensational list. Like, I think if you put Sheasel in St. Mitchell, am I stupid? Chat, am I stupid? If you put Sheasel in St Kilda's team, top 8. I think they just need an extra point of X factor. But I think you put Sheasel in St Kilda, potentially top 8 straight away, because he's the dynamic change. Like, I would say if you swap Saints midfield with Norths, bang. You know what I think it is with Clarko, Paul? And what do you think, chat? I feel like Clarko's trying to play Hawk ball, but Hawk ball has been left behind by Richmond Tiger ball, by Collingwood ball, by Brisbane ball. And I feel like he's trying to play the old school way now, and the game has slightly moved on. Matt, yeah, probably. He's probably very back pocket, isn't he? But I just feel like, you know, when I look at Saints and North, I just feel if I was the chairman there, I'd look at Jean Claricella, you know, from Essendon. Do you know what I mean? Like someone that is all about the modern day explosive game. Like when I watch St Kilda's game, I'm like, you've got the most amazing runners in the league. Why aren't you using them? Do you know what I mean? I look at North and I think you've got some of the most exciting talent in the world. You don't use them properly. Feels like it's kind of like, my nana never bought an electric kettle, right? She never bought it. She believed the best kettle we had was this copper monstrosity that, honestly, if you touched it, it felt like you'd been put in one of them brass bowls, right? Took about 2 hours to make a cup of tea. And she swore it made the tea taste better if you boiled your own water. But it didn't. Honestly, God bless my nana, rest her soul. Tea still tastes good when you make it in a kettle. Yeah, but I feel like it needs LDU and, like, maybe Philippo's it, and I think Philippo could be it, but I feel like it needs LDU and someone else. King Cheese, if you put Butters into that team, yes. Amen. So, North, literally, do you know what I mean? All the gear, no idea. I feel like that list, North's list, should be 7 to 12. You know what, Ryan? I don't know if you've watched my prediction video. I made a bold prediction about Luke Jackson and the Saints. An 18 for Richmond. Rebuild, rebuild, rebuild. Rebuild, rebuild, rebuild. What do you think? Give me your Richmond. Give me your Richmond one. Give me your Richmond one, chat. Give me your Richmond ones. You know what, chat? I do miss talking to you. I love live streams with you guys and girls. We are live as well for the Friday game. I am a genius. I didn't do what everyone else did and tried to get the season ready. Do you know what I mean? For that 20-30 pending. I think that's fair. I hope they're preparing for some hide-ins. I didn't want to say lessons, but I've done that too much. I've done that too much. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, mate, I think they're in a world of trouble, right? So if we go here, and can I do this? Right, so chat, remember, if you are in this chat and you do watch this, join this, but we'll do you can see my tips because I'm not eligible for this. So remember, right, it's the $300 for winning it, $100 for second, 50 for third, right? Free to enter, all on us. I'm going to go Sydney and I'm going to go Pies. They're me tips. Sydney Pies, chat. You don't have to give it away if you are in the competition because I know what some of you are like. My mate, when I did this the other year, was like, Pom, you're giving away what you're doing. And I'm like, mate, I don't care about winning it, brah. Do you know what I mean? I don't care about winning it. But there you are. If you don't want to reveal your tips, don't reveal your tips. But make sure you join it. All you got to do is be subscribed to this channel and you are away. So, right, let me find this. Right, let me find this. We need AFL top 50 players. Kane Corns, wasn't it? It was Kane Corns. Where is this list? Right, so this is his list. I'm sure this was on Twitter, innit? So we can see a picture. I'm a picture guy. I'm a picture guy. Let's see if I can find the picture. Oh, here we are. There we are. Can you see it? It looks like there isn't, mate. So if we look at this, right, can we make this a little bit bigger? Ah, there we are, right. Let me know what you think of this, because I think this is an incredible piece, right? Now, I never get angry about these, right? And I'll tell you for why I don't get angry about these. I just don't think there's any point, like, because it's an opinion piece, right? And I know people get worked up about it and stuff, but you know what? Like, I've just never been one of them guys that gets upset about it. Do you know what I mean? So if we look at that on the screen, right, what... I agree. I think that's a big thing for us, mate. But what strikes you... Can I just say, you know, just first time I looked at this, right? First time I looked at this was this. I don't understand for the life of me, right, how Alira is in the top 50. Because I love Alira, but I think he's been bang average for the last 50 years. I mean, for the last 3 years. Like, am I being harsh? Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree, but straight off the bat, you know, when everyone else was complaining about, like, oh, how's Nick Dacos first? I can cop Nick Dacos first. Legit can cop him first. I don't care, right? But just on the first line, right, I was like, how is Alira... There is no world in the world you can tell me Alira is better than Sinclair, Hill, Maynard, Brayshaw, Dangerfield, Whitfield, Anderson and Newcombe. Not on God's green earth can you say that. Like, because I would take all of that, but all of the first row, I'd take over Alira. All of it. All of it. Like, genuinely. Top 10. Warner's definitely a top 10 player. Butter's definitely a top 10 player. Where did he put Connor Rosie? Has he not got Rosie in the top 50? Bro's high. Fair enough. Has he? 34. Oh, good spot, Bam. I was going to say. Yeah. How? Ranking 18th as well. I think that's high. I like ranking. I think that's high. Who would you have number one? Like, be honest. Be honest. Because I feel like Bontempelli, we're told to say Bontempelli's the best player in the league, right? I think he's there. Like, if I was doing a top 3 players in the league, it would be Nick Dacos, Bontempelli. And you know what? I would have Cripps. I think you can't... And Neil. I think Neil has to be a lot higher. Like, I'd say if you were doing it based on that, if you said Nick Dacos and Bontempelli had to be 1 and 2, third would be Neil for mine. Do you know what I mean? Where is Jeremy Cameron? 4th. I think Curnow's high as well. Like, I love Charlie Curnow. Do you know what I mean? But I would say if I had to rearrange that, my top 3 would be Nick Dacos, Bontempelli, Neil. I think Neil's got to be there. Blakey, I think 15. I agree, Mitchell. I think 15's mental. I would, you know, where I'd have Blakey, and I think he's a very good footballer, and Sam Darcy. I think Sam Darcy's got potential. Potential. I would have Darcy and Blakey. Has to be below. I above Lear, but below Charlie Cameron, in my opinion. In my opinion. Am I missing Jerry? Has he not put Jerry there? I think you'd have to have two ruckmen in your top 50. Yeah. I think that's mental. Sam Darcy's there. You know what? The mental ones that I personally wouldn't have in the top 50 footballers of all time in the current league, right? Let's go through. All of these would be there or thereabouts. Hogan, yeah. Blakey, yes. McGovern, based on history, yes. Darcy, no. The fact there's only one place between JHF and Young as well is ridiculous. But definitely not top 50 players, in my opinion. Lear not top 50 players. More definitely. I'd have him in my top 50, I think, what he's done. Maynard, I think he's a very good footballer, but is he top 50? I don't think so. Like, I think he's solid. Like, I feel like Sheasel as well is being grossly underdone at 28 if Blakey's 15. I think Larky's in the top 40. I love Track. Track's in, I think the top 10 is roughly the top 10. Is roughly the top 10. I wouldn't argue with it. Kerno, top 10. I love him. He probably is there. Because, do you know what I mean? But I don't think, you know what? Call me crazy as well. I don't think you could have Cameron massively over Kerno. Waterman, I agree as well. Great call. Pendlebury, like, I think Pendlebury should be there. I'd have Pendlebury over Maynard. I thought this was a really interesting piece, to be honest, because I think these are the conversations I had in the UK with my mates having a beer over football. I just feel, you know the hype of Bontempelli? The hype of Bontempelli. I feel like that's like Cristiano Ronaldo. And what I mean by that is you're led to believe Ronaldo is top 3 players in world football. Like you're led to believe, and it's become like normal. Just normal that everyone accepts it and you can't question it. Like, honestly, you know me, I'm not a pies man. I would have Nick Dacos. If you were drafting all these and I had first pick, I'm taking Nick Dacos. If it was talent-based. Taking him. I think Chad Warner's grossly underrated at 10. I think Butters is about right. But I don't think you can have 1, 2, 3. Like, I agree with you, Bam. He has to be top 10. But I don't think you can have that much of gap between Kerno and Cameron, because Kerno has had better performances over 3 years and played injured. Do you know what I mean? And played injured and had to play with 2 people. Harley Reid would be a good choice. Is Harley Reid on this list? I'm surprised Kane hasn't. I mean, if we're having freaking Waterman there, one good year. Hey, I like that, Juddy. I'm taking Jagger Smith. Hey, I like that. Myers is stiff, bro. Like, because if you've got Darcy, if you've got Darcy Moore there, you've got to have Gearon, haven't you? You've got to have Gryan if he's there. Why do I think Neil is rated below Bontempelli? I didn't. I said my 1, 2, and 3 would have probably been Neil there. Because I think you can't argue with Neil. Do you know what I mean? He's done it in a granny and won Brownlows, so has Cripps. But I think Cripps is a terrific player. He'd be in my top 5. But Heaney, I think, is very good, and I think Petrarca is very good. I like Cameron. If I was ranking it, I'd have Cameron ahead of Petrarca, below Cripps. Is that fair? Sam Taylor is there, and rightfully so, all right. Like, I mean, let's go through him. Like, we'll just say he's not there, Lachlan. He's gone mental here. But Sinclair, yes, in the top 50. Bobby Hill, definitely in the top 50. Maynard, I'm not sure. Brayshaw, I think if you've got Brayshaw in there, you've got to have his mate Sarong. They are a double act. But Brayshaw's in the 50. Dangerfield, is he in the top 50 players in the AFL? Because I'm guessing this is based on today, if we were ranking them today. I don't think Dangerfield is in the top 50. And Whitfield, at a push, is top 50. I don't think he's top 50. Anderson, yet. Jai Newcomb, yet. Aaliyah. I don't think he's top 50. Cameron's top 50. Darcy Moore's definitely top 50. LDU in Houston, Wilkie. Sicily's gross. Like, honestly, I know Ben, my mate in chat, he's gone on about McGovern. I'm telling you right now, I would take Sicily over McGovern every day of the week right now. Because if you're doing a top 50 players, it's for now and moving on. Matt, crazy, innit? But how is Sicily 36? Unbelievable. That is inconceivable, right? But he's a top 50 player. Walsh, top 50 player. Rosie, top 50 player. Andrews, if you've got Jerry McGovern there, how is Andrews and Sicily not above McGovern? Jake Waterman, what he did last year, but can you have one good year and be top 50 players? He's definitely around there and he's in the conversation, but he's a terrific player, but that high up, like based on by my eye, he's putting him third best key forward of the country. Like, I'd say Harry is better than Jake Waterman. Would you agree? I agree, Juddy Spots. Would you say, is that counting Nuffy in me? I would say Harry Mackay is above Jake Waterman. In my opinion. McCluggage, underrated. I'm glad he's in there. Day, he's in the top 50. Papley, in the top 50. Sheasel's way too low. Way too low, in my opinion. 28 is a disgrace. Gone. I get it. I would say Tristan Jerry has to be in this. His Gone's there. Jaya Miss, not bad shout. Darcy Cameron, the best statistical defensive ruckman, he has to be in there. Right? Sam Taylor, definitely top 50. Merritt, top 50. Sam Darcy, I'm questioning. On potential, easy top 50. In reality, where I live, not top 50. Well, I mean, I agree, King Cheese. If you were picking someone from North Melbourne to buy for your team, any position, surely you're going Shees. I agree, Larky's good. I would have Larky third. I would have Sheasel first, LDU second, because I feel like LDU has Cripps syndrome because he does the hard stuff. He doesn't get the sexy voting. Dawson, probably about right. Hayden Young, way too high. Caleb Sarong, I'd have them in my top 40 to 30. I don't think they're top 20 players. JHF, grossly underrated. grossly underrated. Really, you'd not have Zach Merritt in there. I'd have Zach Merritt in there. I'd have him in my top 50. Rankine, is he top 20? Because you're telling me Rankine's better than Papley? I agree, Sammy. You're telling me that Isaac Rankine's better than Tom Papley? Behave. Jacob Wheatering. You see, already, I'm happy to do a top 50. I'm happy to have a go at it. I'll put some thinking in it. But genuinely, I love Jeremy McGovern, but there is no way on God's green earth Jeremy McGovern is better than Wheatering and Sam Taylor. No way. Like, I'm sure if Jeremy McGovern was here, he would say Wheatering's better than me. Blakey and Stewart, one place between them. I'd take Stewart every day. I think Blakey, I feel like at times he's gone on potential and not real. Do you get that feeling? Mitch, does everyone get that feeling? Do you think sometimes he's just randomly chosen potential? Like, for me, if you said to me, Pom, top 50 players, I would go away and do top 50 players without potential based on the now. Because, like, you didn't have Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi as the best player in the world when they broke into their teams 20 years ago. Like, R9s were winning the best player of the world and Zidane's and stuff. You didn't base it on potential. Green's top 50. Goulden is top 50. Hogan, 100%. Warner, 100%. The top 10, no arguments. I think the top 10 is kind of right in the wrong order. I would say Merritt is top 50. Is that the argument? Do you know what I mean? You see, though, with football, I find it different to AFL. That in football, it's quite easy to say who the best player in the world is. Like, the argument, if we just did my personal top 5, Nick Dacos, Bontempelli, Cripps, Cameron, Neil, right, in any order you want. If I was building a team from bottom, if I was North, I'm taking Cripps, right? If I am a team 10th on the ladder wanting to get better, I'm taking Dacos. And if I'm a team top 4 wanting to win now, Bontempelli. Right? I feel like the 10 and 9, like 10 to 1 of that. Like, I agree, Sammy, it's quite high, but I would agree all 10 of them players I'd be happy to see in anyone's top 10. I don't know that. Michael, I don't know. I think for me, for what Cripps is, he's the best player in the competition. Right? But I appreciate when you're talking about the best player, it's not about who's the best for output. It's the best with sex appeal in it. So I concede I don't think Cripps kicks enough goals. I don't think he creates enough goals. I feel like he's an incredible ball winner. That's why I said if I was a mid-tier team, Cripps is my first selection because I think Cripps does what Cripps does. This is a great conversation, right? So stay with me. When I judge a player, and you've mentioned Haaland in the chat, brilliant, right? When you build a team, I think Cripps does what Cripps does, 18th to 1st on the ladder, without a shadow of a doubt, right? Cripps is an all-star playing for North, Richmond, Carlton, Brisbane, right? Elite, right? Jeremy Cameron, elite 1 through 6 in the ladder. Put him at North, put him at Richmond, rubbish. Right? Dacos. If you put him in 18th, he does what Nick Dacos does. If you put him in 10th, Nick Dacos does what Nick Dacos does. You put him in 1st, Nick Dacos does what Nick Dacos does. So that's why I've got Nick Dacos 1st. Right? Bontempelli, he does it for 1st through to 14th. I don't think Bont would be as effective as Cripps would be in the bottom 6. I still think he'd be effective, but I don't think he would be as effective. Right? Then Heaney doesn't do it for the bottom 4. Petrarca doesn't do it for the bottom 4. Neil does. So, like, for me, I think your top 4 has to come from Dacos, Bont, Neil, Cripps. So, in my heart of hearts, even though I love Cripps, he's my boy, and I agree with Shees, I would have Nick Dacos, Bontempelli, Neil, then Cripps. Yeah, but do you think he'd be effective going forward as he is? Bunch of stuff? No, I think it's a great conversation. Do you know what I mean? I just always look at my pop used to tell me about like Ian Wright and Kevin Campbell. And he used to say Ian Wright's brilliant for Arsenal, but you put him in West Brom, he's bobbins. You put Kevin Campbell in West Brom, brilliant. Brilliant. Because he holds up the ball. Right? And I agree with that concept. I feel like Nick Dacos, Cripps, and Neil's game is fantastic 1 to 18 and would be elite. I think Bontempelli would be elite in certain facets. I don't think he'd be as dominant, though, as what he is. And I love Bontempelli. Mad love Bonty. He's definitely in the top 3 players. Jagger Smith. Peter, no, I agree. I think some of them I don't quite get. I actually think, though, Peter, stay with me here. You know I'm unbiased. I would say that's more a reflection of Carlton's problem there. Would you? Because Carlton have got 3 A-grade talents there, but the core around them isn't strong enough. Where you look at Brisbane, how many have they got in this top 3? 1, 2, 3. Carlton have got more than them. They probably should have Mackay if you were judging it on this criteria. Tells you the role players winning. Like you look at Collingwood here, do you know what I mean? Hill, Bruz, and Dacos, and Houston, who wasn't there. I agree, King Cheese. I think that's a great simile. Like, you'd take Bellingham every day of the week. All right? And what I mean by this, I think Rodri would go missing if you put him at Leicester. You'd just expect that. Like, I feel Cripps, Mitch, best comment. I feel like, honestly, I'm saying, you know me, I'm not mad bias Carlton, right? New year, new Pom, right? I just think Bont is a great player. Great player. But I think you also underrate what Cripps did in a shit side. I agree, Peter, no. And that's what I'm saying. I think the most important players in your list are the players 51 to 100. I'd love to do a top 100 players. I think 51 to 100 are the ones that win you a flag. So, like, you know, on your list, I think draw a line outside of the top 10. It's your next 10 that win you the flag. Because in an ideal world, like, if we looked at this, in an ideal world, we'll pick on Carlton, right? Having Sam Walsh, having Jacob Wheater in, so you've got the back and the midfield sorted, you've got the ball winner in Cripps, and you've got the guy who finishes it off in Kerner. And we're not even counting Mackay in this conversation, but let's count him. That should be an easy top 4 side, shouldn't it? Because you've got the hardest positions on the field are covered by A-grade talent. Means the players aren't getting the ball in the hands enough. It means the people around them aren't helping them hard enough, right? Where you look at Collingwood, it's fascinating this. Look at who they've got in the top 50. You've got Nick Dacos, the 40-touch guy who gets the chains moving. Then you've got Maynard, who's a tough nut. And then you've got Hill, who's a goal-kicking small forward machine. And then they've got like 15, 20 players around them that make them players brilliant. Dan Houston is 38. And then you add Dan Houston, because now he is a pie. Phenomenal. right? And then that's why I was quite hot on Hawthorn last year. Darcy Moore, brilliant, right? Did it in a shit team. Sicily did it in a shit team. Newcombe did it in a shit team. Day did it in a shit team. Like, Hawthorn's depth for doing it in shit is pretty good. Do you know what I mean? So, like, I think that's something to learn there, that 51 to 100 is brilliant. Look, Nick Dacos is look, Peter, I've got him number one, mate. I think he's an incredible player, and you won't hear me get into arguments about who's the best, because I had to live through the Messi, Ronaldo era. But, do you know what I mean? I agree, King Cheese. I think that tells me 51 to 100 is the best player. Do you know what I mean? The best player. Peter, I disagree with Houston. I'd say what Carlton need is Carlton ideally need 5 George Hewitt level players to play front, middle and back. And then you would see the best of Walsh, the best of Cripps. What are Carlton fans thinking, chat? Like, if you could get 6, 7 out of 10 every week, they would be brilliant. If they could get 6, 7 out of 10 players every week, they would be a lot better football side. That was a real fun discussion. So, chat, before you go, I will be back on Friday. We are watching the Sydney game, aren't we? Let me have a look. Make sure I'm not lying to you. We are watching the Sydney versus Hawthorn game, 7:30 start. There will be a preview of the game tomorrow out, and then we'll be live for it. Then we will have a review of that game. We will have the Sunday show, which will be turning into a fan cams next Sunday. So next Sunday, I want you to come out and just discuss the week with me. We will have a fan cams. There is a video out now as well, my season predictions, so get them in. If you haven't, make sure you join this. We are giving away $300 for the winner, $100 for second place, and $50 for third. And all you have to do is just be a subscriber of this channel and like it, right? So just do that, and you're in with a chance to win it. Some tips. We'll be back next Sunday with this show. I've got something very special as well for the members giveaway this week as well. I will try and have a look at the preseason documentary. I will go and give it a flick on, Juddy. On 7, I will give it a flick while I'm in the bath. So look after yourselves. Make sure you keep supporting the channel. Give this stream a like. Thank you very much, everyone. Love chatting with you. And we'll be back next week with a special guest. So see you then. Thank you very much, chat. Enjoy your evening.